people, welcome to Prep Elevate. So today let us discuss the CAT 22 slot 3 questions on para completion. We already have 2 videos up on our channel where I have discussed the slot 1 and slot 2 questions on para completion, and today I'll be discussing the slot 3 questions, correct? Okay, so we have the first question on the screen, and just like I keep repeating in all my videos, please try the question on your own and then come back and look at the explanation. That ensures that you have a better understanding. So if you get the questions right, very good, it boosts your confidence. In case you're getting the questions wrong, you will have some value addition when I explain it, right? So please try it on your own, right? Okay, so the basic drill remains the same, just like for any verbal question. First step always is skimming. Helps us understand what kind of questions we've been asked, the difficulty level and stuff. And then we are going to look at how should we place the sentence in the paragraph so that it makes absolute sense, right? So I'm just starting with the skimming process, and remember, skimming is just a random process. There is no structure or rule to it. So sentence says uncertainty, wide scale return to office. So the moment I read this wide scale return to office, something tells me that this is talking about the work from home scenario, work from office scenario. Okay, workers, desks, rocky road. Rocky road means a difficult task. Evolution, pandemic. See, so this is, I think, most probably the pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, work from home, work from office, hybrid work conditions, something of this sort. Flow of workers, more of a trickle than a steady stream. Okay, so this looks like, statement together, something that makes sense. So a saying, more of a trickle than a steady stream. Plenty of companies across the globe employs, see, hybrid. So back to their desk, hybrid working, beginning, more or less easy, right? All the words that we have seen so far, they seem student friendly. They seem words which we use in our daily conversations. And also we are discussing the CAT 22 paper. So this is when this entire scenario of coming back to office or continuing the remote working condition, that was a huge debate. So this is also very relevant. When it was there in the CAT paper, this is also a very relevant scenario. So more or less all the words are familiar and it makes sense. So looks like an easy take. Let's just knock it off then. So sentence says, this has meant a lot of uncertainty around what a wide scale return to office might look like in practice. So this is an indicator word. मतलब कुछ तो एक process, we'll get a hint about some process, and this has meant. So या तो वो process हो सकता है, या कोई scenario हो सकता है, कोई situation हो सकता है, something that foretells that, okay, we expected this to happen, but then let's say this happened. So this there is some uncertainty around this, right? So the moment I read the sentence, that is what I am able to understand at face value. ठीक है? So paragraph क्या बोल रहा है? Bringing workers back to their desks has been a rocky road for employers and employees alike, right? So 2 years you've been working from the safety of your homes, from the comfort of your homes. So getting them back to their desks, so getting them under those restricted office hours and restricted conditions, it has been a rocky road. Rocky road is a difficult situation, and it has been difficult for employers also as well as employees, right? The evolution of the pandemic has meant that best laid plans have often not materialized. So pandemic, if there is one thing that pandemic has taught us, that there's nothing that you can say is abnormal, right? We've come up with a new term, new normal. So everything that happens which is uncertain, which is unpredictable, something that we are not prepared for, that happens to be the new normal. So pandemic ने हमें क्या सिखाया है? That best laid plans, you may be best prepared for something, but it may not materialize the way you want it to materialize, right? There is a gap here, but I am not very sure if I can place the sentence, because I still don't know what this is discussing. So basically that sentence has to be placed somewhere where I've started talking about this return to office, not before that, because otherwise this word is not going to make sense. वो indicator word उसको बेहतर describe नहीं कर सकता. अभी I am just opening the paragraph, correct? So the flow of workers back into offices has been more of a trickle than a steady stream. So more of a trickle than a steady stream. Maybe you expected people would, they would come back to office once plans are put into perspective, or once there's an official declaration that it's time that you start getting back to office. But what we've seen is this flow of workers, it has been a trickle as in something that is too narrow, right? So you expect it to be steady, you expect people to come back in probably large numbers, but what we've seen is it's been very erratic. One or two people coming on, and then there are others who continue to work from home, something of this sort. So it has been more of a trickle than a steady stream. Abhi, see, we have started describing the scenario, we are making a switch. पहले we made a very generic introductory paragraph, introductory sentences, and now we have started describing the situation. So यहाँ पे जो blank है, here it's going to make sense. This has meant a lot of uncertainty around what a wide scale return to office might look like. So we expected that once we start calling people back to office, it's going to happen in a very steady fashion, but that has not happened, that has not materialized, right? And this has meant that if we implement it on a large scale, there's the uncertainty is going to be even huge, even large, right? So this has meant a lot of uncertainty. So abhi tak to it makes sense here, but we are going to lead the remaining lines also. Yet, while plenty of companies are still working through their new policies, some employees across the globe are now back at their desks, whether on a full time or hybrid basis. So, this describes the scenario after that. That we started calling people back to office. We assumed it would be like a steady flow, but then it looks more like a trickle. So, that tells us that, like on a huge scale, when we start calling people back to office, that might be even more uncertain, right? And then we are describing that while all this discussion is going on in the background, a lot of people are already back at their desks. Either they are working just the way they used to work pre-pandemic, so full time office job, or on a hybrid basis, but they are reporting back to office. That means we are beginning to get some clarity on what return to office means. So, since some people have started returning back to office either on a full time basis or a hybrid basis, we are starting to get a picture as to what this could look like, some clarity on what return to office looks like. So, what is working as well as what is yet to be settled. And यहाँ पे तो वो सेंस बनाता नहीं है ना सेंटेंस, वी ऑलरेडी कंक्लूडेड इट वेरी वेल. यहाँ पे भी नहीं बनाता बिकॉज दिस इज इमीडिएटली कनेक्टेड. दैट मीन्स सो द ओनली प्लेस दैट इट मेक्स सेंस हियर इज ऑप्शन 2. सो ये करेक्ट आंसर है ऑप्शन 2. ठीक है. आई वुड से दिस इज एन ईजी क्वेश्चन, डेफिनेटली फेमिलियर है, वर्ड्स भी फेमिलियर है, बट एक कंफ्यूजन का स्कोप फिर भी रहता है बिटवीन 1 and 2. सो एक चीज दैट यू कैन फोकस ऑन विच इज इम्पॉर्टेंट इज wherever you're putting this sentence, it has to be in flow with the paragraph, right? It should not look abrupt. So basically what you're trying to do is make a seamless connection between sentences. एक just like imagine एक fabric है, वहाँ पे आप stitch कर रहे हो, and the stitching has to be smooth. There should not be any uneven rough edges. So अगर मैं यहाँ पे put करूँ ना, so it is not making a lot of sense. The continuity is getting broken somehow. So that should give you a hint that the moment I have pronouns like this, that, थोड़ा सा सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर डिस्कशन होना चाहिए, then I can use pronouns, correct? So थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन होना चाहिए. पहले दो लाइन्स में ना it has been just an introductory sentences, correct? Just they are opening the topic, but exactly situation यहाँ से describe होना शुरू हुआ है after 1. That is why we will place the sentence in option 2. ठीक है. One thing which works in our favor is this is in sequence. So that is a very good thing. So the probability of making an error reduces for us significantly under exam conditions, which is really good. वो एक अच्छी चीज है इसके बारे में. ठीक है. I hope you have understood. I'll move on to the next question. ठीक है. Same drill. पहले skimming से start करें. People socially learn without understanding beliefs, behaviors, know-how, dual inheritance theory, ठीक है, inheritance, evolutionary system, animal, successful, socially acquired information, सेकेंड लाइन ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस, ये ऑलरेडी इतना ही पढ़ के एक सेंस आ जाना चाहिए. दिस इज नॉट एज इजी एज द प्रीवियस वन, राइट. वर्ड्स थोड़े से डिफिकल्ट है ना, थोड़े से इट लुक्स लाइक समथिंग दैट अ सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट वुड प्रॉब्ली राइट ऑन. थोड़ा इन डेप्थ लग रहा है. कुछ तो थियोरी है उसके बारे में प्रॉब्ली हमने डिस्कस किया है. इनहेरिटेंस, एवोल्यूशन. अभी इफ यू हैव बीन फॉलोइंग द कैट पेपर्स फॉर अ फ्यू इयर्स यू विल रियलाइज कि ये टॉपिक्स ना कैट के फेवरेट होते जा रहे हैं. ये सब्जेक्ट्स इधर आरसी में आपको देखने के लिए मिलेंगे या पैरा समरी में भी आपको देखने के लिए मिलेंगे. इनहेरिटेंस, एवोल्यूशन, कॉग्निशन, एंड दीज आर नॉट वेरी इजी टॉपिक्स. आई हैव ऑलवेज रिपीटेड, ये थोड़े नुआंस्ड होते हैं. be it philosophy, be it something which is very very technical subject matter experts kind of stuff, बहुत easy नहीं होते हैं ऐसे questions. So be a little careful while attempting. People tend to home in on those smartest successful people, repeat beliefs, behaviors. तो कुछ तो beliefs, behaviors, social learning, inheritance, genes, उसके अराउंड है ये पूरा. ऑप्शंस आर इन सीक्वेंस विच इज गुड. ये अच्छी बात है हमारे लिए. तो जहाँ पे भी हम ये सेंटेंस को प्लेस करेंगे वो डायरेक्टली करस्पॉन्ड करेगा हमारे आंसर चॉइस के साथ. अभी बहुत जन लोगों को ऐसा लग रहा होगा कि वाई एम आई रिपीटिंग दिस अगेन एंड अगेन. कैट 23 का पेपर आप देखो, वहाँ पे उन्होंने सीक्वेंस को चेंज कर दिया था. लॉट ऑफ पीपल मेड मिस्टेक्स डिस्पाइट कमिंग टू द राइट आंसर, दे हैपन टू मार्क द रॉन्ग आंसर. सो थोड़ा माइंडफुल रहने की जरूरत है. ओके चलो अब इन डेप्थ पढ़ते हैं हम. When people socially learn from each other, they often learn without understanding why what they are copying, the beliefs, the behaviors and technologies and know-how. So first line itself tells you that when people socially learn from each other, they are not really that conscious about what they are picking up. ये आपके साथ भी होता होगा, you know, when you spend time with a particular group of people, you start subconsciously picking up their accent, their habits, their way of expression, their thoughts, their ideas, sometimes their hobbies also, right? ये आपको पता नहीं चलता, ये subconsciously हम लोग pick up करते हैं. So that is the first line, that when there is social learning that is happening, people often learn without understanding. So they are not conscious about what they are copying, what they are picking up to copy. And it could be beliefs, it could be behaviors, and it could be whatever technologies, whatever. So basically जो भी उन्हें पता है, आप कुछ ना कुछ उससे बोरो करते हो वो लर्निंग से, बट वो बहुत ही सबकॉन्शियस प्रोसेस, यू आर नॉट अवेयर. ठीक है. अभी पैराग्राफ यहाँ पे पहले ही एक देयर इज अ गैप. सो प्रोबेबली वी हैव टू फिगर आउट कि क्या ये इंट्रोडक्टरी सेंटेंस हो सकता है. देखते हैं, पहले पढ़ लेते हैं थोड़ा सा. द डुअल इनहेरिटेंस थ्योरी सेज दैट इनहेरिटेंस इज इटसेल्फ एन एवोल्यूशनरी सिस्टम. Inheritance is an evolutionary system. So the process of inheriting something from someone, that undergoes evolution. उसमें भी growth, उसमें भी एक process दिखाई देता है, growth दिखाई देता है. It has variation. ठीक है. What makes us a new kind of animal and so different and successful as a species is we rely heavily on social learning, to the point where socially acquired information is effectively a second line of inheritance, the first being our genes. Be careful of such sentences in exams, because यहाँ पे pause है ही नहीं. यहाँ पे आपको ऐसा लगेगा you are not even getting the breathing space. तो इसको छोटे छोटे टुकड़ों में पढ़ो. there are lots of punctuations out here, there's no full stop. So धीरे धीरे करके ब्रेक करके पढ़ते हैं. ठीक है. पहला दो लाइन तो लुक्स गुड एज इंट्रोडक्शन, राइट. वहां से हमें क्यों स्टार्ट करना है, बिकॉज अगर यहाँ पे इफ आई पुट दिस हियर, देन अगेन वो थ्योरी के बारे में हम बाद में डिस्क्राइब करें. तो पहले थ्योरी डिस्क्राइब करेंगे, उसके बाद उसके इफेक्ट्स या इम्पैक्ट्स या उसका जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो हम डिस्क्राइब करेंगे. तो यहाँ पे इट मेक्स नो सेंस, यहाँ पर तो सेंटेंस नहीं जा सकता. अभी देखो, सो डुअल इनहेरिटेंस थ्योरी क्या बोलता है? इनहेरिटेंस इज एन एवोल्यूशनरी सिस्टम. ग्रोथ है उसमें वेरिएशन, इट हैज वेरिएशन. What makes us superior as a species, more successful, so different and superior is we rely heavily on social learning. हम काफ़ी चीज़ें social learning से ही सीखते हैं, और यहाँ तक कि to the point where socially acquired information is a second line of inheritance. So कुछ तो ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो हम अपनी जीन से कैरी करते हैं, which is our prime line of inheritance. और दूसरी चीज़ जो हम सोशली लर्न करते हैं वो हमारे इनहेरिटेंस का एक इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट बन जाता है. इट बिकम्स द सेकेंड लाइन ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस. करेक्ट. तो एक चीज ऐसी होती है जीन्स जो आप अपने पेरेंट्स से, अपने फोर फादर्स से आप कैरी करते हो, विच इज बायोलॉजिकली ट्रांसफर्ड इंफॉर्मेशन थ्रू योर डीएनए. और सेकेंड चीज वो होती है जो आप जब आप यहाँ पे टाइम स्पेंड करते हो विथ पीपल अराउंड, वॉट एवर यू सोशली एक्वायर. So that is what makes us so special as a species, so successful, so different, that there is so much variation. Remember, so many people around the globe, they are spending time with so many different people. So there's a lot of variation as to what we know and what we can acquire. Correct. अभी देखो, so यहाँ पे ना सोशल लर्निंग इंट्रोड्यूस हो चुका है ये वर्ड, और वहां पे उसके बाद की चीज बताई गई है दैट व्हेन पीपल सोशली लर्न फ्रॉम ईच अदर, दे ऑफन लर्न विदाउट अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट दे आर लर्निंग, व्हाई दे आर लर्निंग. और देखो अभी ये सेंटेंस, पीपल टेंड टू होम इन ऑन दोज who seem to be the smartest or the most successful person around. So यही बात है ना, we are not aware, we are blindly copying, right? We are socially learning, we are blindly copying, and we are not aware of what we are picking up, why we are picking up. And उसके बाद ये है कि they try to copy those or imitate those who seem to be the smartest or the most successful people around, as well as what everybody seems to be doing. The majority of people have something worth learning. तो हम बहुत ही ब्लाइंडली कॉपी करते हैं सोशल लर्निंग के थ्रू, बिकॉज वी आर नॉट अवेयर, वी आर नॉट कॉन्शियस अबाउट व्हाट वी आर कॉपिंग, व्हाई वी आर कॉपिंग. एंड उसका रिजल्ट क्या होता है, दैट वी टेंड टू कॉपी दोज हु सीम टू बी द स्मार्टेस्ट और द मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल विदाउट इवन नोइंग दैट व्हाट दे आर डूइंग एंड व्हाट वी शुड बी डूइंग. ये दो लाइन ना, अगर you should be really familiar with this. Just like your parents ask you कि to follow the most successful cousin, ठीक है, उसने ये किया है, तुम भी ये लाइन फॉलो कर लो. उसने ये डिग्री ली है, तुम भी ये कर लो. उसके ये एम्बिशंस रहे, उसने यहाँ से पढ़ाई की है, वहां से पढ़ाई की है, आप भी वही फॉलो कर लो. तो इररेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ व्हाट यू वांट, व्हाट योर ड्रीम्स एंड एस्पिरेशंस आर, आप वो एक ऐसी लाइन फॉलो कर रहे हो जो ट्राइड एंड टेस्टेड है. ठीक है, किसी ने ऑलरेडी उस लाइन में बहुत सक्सेस हासिल किया है, जिसको आप पर्सनली शायद जानते हो या एडमायर करते हो, एंड देन यू ऑल्सो ट्राई टू फॉलो. ये एक बहुत ईजी एग्जाम्पल है सोशल लर्निंग का. सो 2 पे ये मेक्स एब्सोल्यूट सेंस. तो सोशल लर्निंग इंट्रोड्यूस हो गई है. अब हम बता रहे कि सोशल लर्निंग का इम्पैक्ट क्या है, और उसको हम कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं एक एग्जाम्पल के साथ, दैट हाउ वी टेंड टू फॉलो द स्मार्टेस्ट और द मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल पीपल अराउंड. ठीक है, अभी आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू रैप द अंडरस्टैंडिंग, नथिंग एल्स. When you repeat this process, अभी learning start तो हो गया है, अब now repetition start हो रहा है. When you repeat this process about time, you can get around the word cultural packages, beliefs or behaviors or technology or other solutions. So बार बार जब ये चीज repeat होती है ना, you keep copying, people around the world, whoever they admire, they are just unconsciously picking up their habits, their ways of living, how they are leading their life. So ये जब बार बार repeat होती है around the world, so we get this huge mix of cultural packages, beliefs, behaviors that are adapted to the local conditions. So people have different psychologies effectively. So यहाँ पे तो स्कोप नहीं है, बिकॉज ये तो बहुत अच्छे से एंड हो रहा है. तो कहाँ पे इस चीज का हमें स्कोप है, ऑप्शन 2 में, which makes this the correct answer. अभी compared to the previous one, definitely this is one notch higher, थोड़ा layered है. ठीक है, but if you are somebody who is a little comfortable with language, so maybe आप इसको भी ace कर सकते हो. ठीक है, but exam conditions में definitely जब 2 questions है, the first one should get priority or precedence in terms of attempt. उसको पहले अटेम्प्ट करना चाहिए. ये आप तब अटेम्प्ट करो जब बाकी सारे क्वेश्चंस आपने अटेम्प्ट कर लिए हैं एंड यू फील दैट यू हैव दैट स्पेस टू मार्क वन मोर आंसर. ठीक है, तो ये आपको तब अटेम्प्ट करना चाहिए. Overall, it's doable. I'll definitely say it's doable. ठीक है, I hope you have understood the explanation and keep practicing on your own. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.